Alright, well, we've got, in my last video, I was showing how I was calculating for a 9-inch tall vase here. Basically, we went over, how I design them, just basically sketching one out and finding kind of a rough shape that I like. And then I go back with my French curve here and smooth out all the corners and darken everything up and all that, and get all my lines tangent together. So, and that smooths the drawing up and basically finalizes the design. Yeah, my other French curve is broke. It's got several cracks in it, and it just doesn't hold very well anymore. So I actually traced that one off and cut this out on the X-carve. So, but anyway, today is the day of truth. We're going to find out how well I did my math. Oh man, my teachers, they tried to be patient with me, but I never was very good at math. And actually, a couple of people watching my videos said, "Hey, you didn't do that problem right," or you came up with this answer, but you wrote that answer. So I've gone back over all these a couple of times and made sure that I've got them all calculated correctly. And now I'm just getting ready to start building this vase. And I'm just going to start first of all by cutting my lengths, and then we're going to go out to the joiner and the planer, and we're going to get this wood just as dead flat and straight as we possibly can before we actually start cutting our segments. I'm going to start this vase. It's going to be made, first of all, this is my prototype design on this vase. So this design is not completely final yet, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this vase, and then I'll find out if I've made any mistakes, or if something's just not going to work or whatever. I'll find all of that out, and then I can go back and I can use this design 100 times if I want to. But I'm going to make this one out of a 2x4. It's a 2x4x10. I've already cut part of it off because it's just too long to come into the shop, so I cut it off with a handsaw. And I'm going to use this piece of cherry here for the rim and for the bottom. But I'm going to get all these cut down, and we're going to get this thing started. So let's get moving. We got a long way to go. Okay, getting started. We need to take our stock and go ahead and get our total lengths cut. And I can get several layers out of each one of these lengths. So out of this first length, it's 30 inches. I can get 2 or 3 different layers for my segmented vase. So we're just going to cut these lengths down, and they'll all be a little bit different. But I won't have to cut each individual one yet. Okay, on this cherry, I've got to go ahead and cut it down. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. It's warped. It came right out of my kiln, and I'm going to have to get it planed down nice and flat. I'll show you how I do that here in just a second. I got birds outside. They're going crazy out there. It's a nice, beautiful day. I use a piece of MDF to reference for the planer. I'll just put some wedges up under the piece of cherry here until it's nice and solid, and then we'll glue it down with some hot glue. Hot glue is plenty strong enough to do this. Come down both sides. And and it's out to the joiner and the planer. I'll joint one side flat, one face flat, and make sure your joiner cuts the entire face. If it's missing a spot, it's not going to work. Okay, then we're just going to joint the sides 90 degrees to that face. We'll reference that face against the fence. Sometimes it may take 2 or 3 passes, but make sure you've got a fresh cut all the way down. Then it's time to go to the planer with the jointed faces down, referencing off the table. We'll parallel the top sides to those faces. So that gives me 2 parallel faces and a jointed edge 90 degrees. Then it's time to run the cherry through. It's referencing off of the MDF, the flat MDF, and it'll hit one corner and then it'll hit the other corner. With multiple passes, I can get this face perfectly flat. Yeah, this gets better with every pass. Got cars and birds and everything else going on out here. Wish I had a sound studio. Okay, now we've got one side flat. Now we're just facing off the other side parallel to it, and that'll give us a perfectly flat board. Then I'll take it over to the joiner and I'll reference one of those faces, and we'll joint that edge 90 degrees, and I'll have a board I can work with. Okay, now it's time to start cutting my segment height. And I'll use my 2x4s to do this. But first, I don't want to get any of the unjointed faces against the fence. This face right here has not been jointed. So I'm just going to draw a few X's on it, so I'll know. And I'll just keep that side away from the rip fence. I'll do all my pieces this way. X is out. That's the rule. X is out. Okay, my first one is layer number 10. It's thinner than the others, so I'm going to cut it first. It's a 1/2 inch thick. And all the rest of my pieces will all be the same. They'll all be 3/4. I'm going a little bit proud of the final dimension because I'll have to sand all my rings once I get them glued together. So I'll go just maybe a 32nd of an inch proud, just to give me room to sand. Make sure you check off each layer as you go, so you know which ones you got, and mark the board itself as which layer it is. All these, like I said, are 3/4 inch. Okay. Now I'm getting ready to cut my segment width, and each one of these will be different for each layer. This is where your calculations on your board, on your clipboard comes in. Make sure you label each one as to the ring number and check it off as you go. That way you know you don't miss any. Like I say, each one of these will be set different most of the time. So we're just going to continue on cutting the width Alright, it's time to take down the segmenting sled. And I've had this sled for over a year now. It's gave me extremely good service. Perfectly happy with it. It's very, very accurate and repeatable. I'm using a 12 segmented ring, so it's I'm going to set my sled up for it and set the pin. It's a 15-degree angle cut. Once I set the pin, it should be right. Okay, I'm doing layer number 1. It's an 1 1/8 segment length. 1 1/8. I hope I got all my calculations right. Okay, I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna take off one corner and go ahead and get that face cut, and then we can start. Okay, measuring back 1 1/8 inches. And make sure you reference that mark off the right hand side of your saw blade, or else you'll end up short on your segment. Once you get it lined up, we're going to go ahead, set our stop block, lock her down good and tight, and then we're going to bring in our hold down clamp. Please do not do this without a hold down clamp. That little piece can get caught between the stop block and the blade, and it can throw it right in your face. It'll destroy the segment also. Okay, let's do our test cut. Make sure our length is good. Measure it out, and it's good. All right, now I can just run 11 more. And this is for the very first ring, ring number 1. And I'll do this process for each and every ring. I'm just going to try to make sure that these things still go together perfectly. If they don't, I'll have to readjust my sled and start over. But I haven't had to adjust the sled yet. It's been built for almost a year, or a little bit over a year now, and I haven't had any problems with accuracy yet. We got a big truck coming. There's always somebody going down the road. Alright, let's see how this does. Look at that. Perfect. Good. No sanding, no halves, and taking it to a sander or anything like that. It just works. Okay, now gluing them up, I generally glue quarters when I do 12-piece segments. I'll glue 3 pieces together, and then 3 more pieces and 3 more pieces. And then I'll come back and glue all of those together. Glue them up in quarters. The more segments you get, the faster you have to work. I do 1 ring at a time. These just came off the saw. I'll get them glued together, and then I'll go back to the saw and cut ring number 2, and so forth and so forth. This way I don't get confused with big piles of segments. We'll take those quarters, we'll just glue all of those together into a ring. rubber band around it, hold everything in place. Make sure all your segments are nice and flat, press them down, make sure all your corners match up properly. If you don't, it won't be a perfect ring, and it can cause gaps. I'll wipe off the excess glue, and that segment's ready. It's ready to just sit and dry. Time to move on to the next one. Okay, well, here I've got all my segments done. They're all glued up. So it's time to go to the sander. I mounted my drum sander on the lathe. I marked all the layers, number each layer on the side of the ring so that you don't sand it off. Mark the tops and the bottoms with pencil marks all the way around. A lot of pencil marks. That way you can reference when you know exactly when you've got one side flat. So we'll run all the layers through the same orientation. Just had to do a little playing around with my dust collector. I love this thing. I love it. Okay, I'm just getting my height set on my sander, and I'm going to start running these through. I'll run the same face through until I get the pencil marks gone, and then I'll flip it over for the other side. Just running them through, and it'll take multiple passes. Keep your hands away from the front of that mandrel. If your hand gets under that mandrel, it's going to be bad. Okay, I've got the pencil marks off of one side. Now I'm working on the other side now to get the pencil marks removed. It's the same principle as a planer. You just can't remove very much wood at one time. It's just a couple thousandths of an inch each run. Alright, I'm cutting my plug for the number 1 layer, which is the very bottom layer. I'll be cutting a hole in it. Now I'm getting my waste block prepared. And this is what I'll glue my vase to. And it's sacrificial, it'll be taken off at the end. You want to make sure the sides are true and round, and the face is true and flat. Alright, time to start gluing up. I've got layer number 1 here. We're just going to glue it up. Lots of glue. Use plenty of glue, folks. Don't go slacking on your glue, because if you don't get enough, this thing can just come apart with you. You know, if you get too much, it just runs out. It's not a problem. If you put this kind of work into a project, then you know you don't want it to fall apart when you start spinning your lathe up. Okay, we're going to get it on here. I'll get it a little tacky just to kind of hold itself in place, and then I'm going to bring up my centering jig. It's just all it is. It's just a piece of wood I turned and trued up and put a conical shape on the front, so as I bring it in, it centers my rings for me. Put a little pressure from the tailstock. Double check it a little bit, make sure everything's good and square, and the ring will be centered. We'll let her sit there until it tacks up. Okay, it's tacked up. I went ahead and put some hot glue on it so I can turn the inside of this ring to match up my plug. We're just gonna cut that down with a parting tool. Cut all the way to the bottom, just so I can get this plug in. Very good. We'll glue it in. Glue it in with glue, inside and outside. And I'll get my little wooden mallet and tap it into place. If you have to beat it in there, then your ring is going to come apart. So just, you know, it needs to be a snug fit, but not too tight. You shouldn't have to beat it in. Okay, now we'll just true this all up and get it trued back to the ring segment layer. All right, there we go. Time for the next layer, layer number 2. And it's got a very small hole in the bottom because it almost meets in the plans. So I can't use my other jig yet. All I'm doing is just tacking it up and moving on to the next layer. I'll get one layer set, let it set for a few minutes while the glue tacks up, and then I start working on the next layer and getting it put on. The process goes fairly quickly. And I'll use this board here just to help distribute pressure on that ring, hold everything in place so I can put pressure on it without trying to separate it. And it's just the same process over and over and over until you get your segment built, or your vase built, or your bowl, or whatever, candy dish. Just readjust, make any adjustments that you need. And I'm lining my segments up by eye. I'm looking at it from the top side and making sure everything's in alignment, and then I'll put pressure on it and let it sit. And then once we get it all glued up, we'll just have to wait. Okay, well, here's the first 11 layers glued together, and I have the layer number 12 and 13 over here on the bench gluing up. Because all that'll be undercut, I'll turn the inside first, and then I'll glue these onto it to move on.